Hi!
Welcome back to the Obituary Stories. So in our last episode, we shared tough conversations with our students. And this episode, we would like to share a little bit deeper into some tough conversations that we might share with ourselves as educators. The self-reflection and all. I thought it was important that we talk about what we think about our identity, our jobs. Even as our vocations as educators.
Yeah. So what do you think about teachers and being in the education industry? Do teachers suffer from imposter syndrome?
I think even in every industry we face that imposter syndrome, especially when we are starting out as beginning teachers.
Yeah.
And seeing that our other more experienced colleagues are way ahead of us in terms of teaching pedagogy. And even the strategies, the way they communicate with their students, the way they deliver something, we feel like they do it so easily, effortlessly, and we ask ourselves if we will ever be able to if we will ever measure up to them. So definitely as a beginning teacher, I felt this sense of imposter syndrome. It's just that at that point in time, no one was talking about being an imposter lah. It's only in the recent years that people started talking about imposter syndrome and stuff like that I thought that maybe at that time I felt that sense of shame and failure, especially when I can't execute a lesson well, and I ask myself why. Why is it that my students are not engaged enough? What did I not do? Could I have done something better? And as educators, I think there's this whole reflective practice that we've undergone during our NIE days, when we had to ask ourselves, why is it that something didn't happen the way we want it to be? How can we engage our students? So I usually ask myself that quite a lot, especially after classes, that I thought I didn't do so well, and then so the imposter syndrome is real, and I don't think it's only in the teaching service. I think it's happening everywhere. Yeah. How about yourself?
I don't know, as an educator, when I first started out, like you, actually I felt very, very scared and intimidated myself, because I wasn't sure if I was measuring up to what the company wanted out of me, and I wasn't sure whether or not my students and my clients are going to approve of me. So it's natural that everyone gets thrown into the deep end of the water when they first start out, whichever company they are in. And because being a teacher, right, you have such a high
moral standard,
that's right, that's the word, and everybody expects you to be the role model. So I'm quite cheeky sometimes, right? And I feel like there are times when I want to say something, but it's too cheeky to be said. So I always have to hold my tongue, otherwise they will mark me down. At the end of the day, I feel that you have to watch yourself, especially what you do, and even in this podcast we have to watch ourselves, to be frank, because we do want to share our thoughts, but at the same time we do need to make sure that there are also certain limitations,
Yeah. And I think also I don't know why. Okay, so now
she feels like I need to cover myself.
No, the cushion thing always makes me feel very secure and protected.
Yeah, okay.
So I feel like something's missing if the cushion is not here. But so back to the whole imposter syndrome thing.
You're very funny.
I think for me, I lost my train of thought, but
so the imposter syndrome really makes us feel like we don't measure up, and it makes us feel lesser than what we really can be. So we do feel insecure. Yes, as teachers we do feel insecure.
Yeah, so maybe that's why I subconsciously brought that question up. But so I think what I wanted to say was that I think as a beginning teacher as well, I think that is why we keep wanting to get better, and at the expense of possibly burning ourselves out, while wanting to seek and striving for perfection. But at the same time, I also feel like the greater narrative for educators is that we need to be role models, and we need to certainly have a kind of professional standard in front of our teachers, in front of the people who we interact with, in front of our students' parents, in front of our colleagues. There's always this pressure to look, sound professional, and to be very mindful of the kinds of things that we say and what we do in public, because you never know, someone might just be looking at you and, I don't know, taking photos or videos of you doing something that is not very appropriate, and then they report
and they whistle blow behind your back.
Yeah, you know, we have got all sorts of news and stuff coming up like that. So I feel like as public, in this case, as public officials, as teachers, when we are representing the public service in public, for lack of a better word, there's this image that we need to constantly uphold ourselves. And for some people, they are okay with it, but I think some people might also struggle with this public image that they constantly have to put up, because it's difficult lah for some people to always have to uphold that particular image.
Yeah. I feel that there's always this certain level of politically correctness that PC, they call it. You have to be PC.
Yeah.
You know, even in an enrichment center, whether you're in a school, whether you're in a university, of course schools, especially with younger kids. The younger the kids are, the more PC you have to be. Basically.
But I can also understand why we need to be politically correct, and we need to uphold that public image, because after all, our students are looking at us as role models. So I totally understand, but like I've mentioned, for some people it might be very difficult for them to do so, because they need to be like someone else. And so I think my next point is that, Joyce, what do you think? Do you think that as an educator yourself, do you think you are really making a difference in the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I think that as long as I always have this growth mindset with me, and as long as that my value and my morals are consistent, I always have this growth mindset, and I always want to grow. Then I think, people will see that naturally. Subconsciously, they will notice that I'm learning new things, and I love to learn new things. It's just my nature. So right now, I'm actually, just to share with you, I'm actually learning more about neuroscience, the brain, and I just love it because it's so intriguing, right? So I'll just go on YouTube, go on Instagram, and then look at all these doctors and how they research about the brain cell development and whatnot. And I share them with my kids occasionally whenever we have like chit chats. And I think that inspires them, because that makes them go, wow, I didn't know that too. And we just rub off on each other like that naturally. So I don't feel like you need to be someone else sometimes, especially because I work in an industry that's less formal than yours. Yeah, I'm a private educator. I get the chance to do this. But if I were to work in, say, a school, a public school endorsed by MOE, then definitely I have to be more PC. Yeah. So over here, I'm happy because I get to be myself. I get to be my own skin. It's more me, and I'm free to share a broader view of things.
But at the same time, I think what shaped my personality as a teacher was that the very fact that I can be very vulnerable with my students, and I tell them that, I think that also kind of brings more of myself into the classroom, and I like that side of me as well. So I mean, sometimes being professional is important. Looking professional is important, because after all, public perception is important as an educator.
Yes.
Yeah. And then back to the point on whether I'm making a difference, right? Sometimes in schools, I mean, I never know whether I'm making a difference until my students tell me.
Yeah.
Or when my students say something that reminds me that actually I'm making a difference. Because it's so, things get so busy in the day-to-day. Like, we're just going from one class to another class, and like no one tells us if we are making a difference or not. We think we are making a difference lah, but most of the time it's the mundane stuff, like collecting homework, giving instructions for certain things, teaching something.
Yes. That
we only know if we're making a difference if someone tells us in the face that, like, Miss Khoo, you taught me something today. I never knew about this. Or when a colleague comes by and compliment us and say something like, oh my god, you're radiating with joy, you're really enjoying this teaching. And I actually I received this compliment when I was in Japan after, while teaching a class. I think it was a practical English class where I had to get students to talk to each other in English. So they're Japanese students, and whenever we have class, they have to talk a lot in English, and no Japanese is involved because that's the rule. And so after the whole class, my supervisor, or rather my co-teacher, told me this, and it's still I feel like it has been the greatest compliment anyone had given to me. He said, "Chu-Ting, you're radiating. You look radiant in the classroom." And these are some of the things that I felt like, even though it's a very, very simple compliment like this, it goes a long way. Yeah. And I just feel like if only we have got more people in school complimenting us and I don't know, just sharing like words, like positive words of affirmation.
I just want to put like a glow around her face right now. You're radiating.
Yeah.
Wow, that is such a huge word.
It's a strong word coming from a Japanese. Coming from a Japanese, I think it's a huge word. Okay, as I'm not making any assumptions here, but I thought it was a strong word, and it's a very, very, very brilliant compliment for someone else. Yeah.
It's something that you will never forget, especially because as a tutor or as a teacher, this is what you want, you strive for, and someone actually acknowledges it. I think for me as a tutor, if a parent tells me, hey, my child got an A1, that's really very good. But the fact that my child has been better because of you in other ways, that is another level of compliment. The recent one that I got was my child is not only scoring A1, but my child is also in E2K. Have you heard of this program?
E2K, what's that?
It's an additional math program that the teachers offer to the students if they are doing very well in school.
Oh,
so they get a chance to participate in that.
Okay.
And on top of that, Olympiad as well. Olympiad is something that is even more challenging. And if you get in, people are like, wow, you got this, your friends will envy you. So it's like when parents tell you of these things, you start to feel, okay, I'm doing fine. So it gives you that sense of validation. And it does make you want to continue your work and achieve more and push boundaries even further. But I think as like what you said, we want to make a difference, but at the same time we do ask ourselves whether we are on the verge of burning out, because teachers always want to give and provide, but we also do need to prevent ourselves from being disillusioned, which is sometimes some things you might hear from teachers or other fellow colleagues if they are educators. So this brings me to my next question is, so Chu-Ting, do you think you will ever sustain in this profession?
I think this question has been lingering in my head for a while, ever since so remember I left MOE a couple of years ago, and then I came back to Singapore after living in Japan for 2 years. Currently I'm teaching in a tertiary institution, and so I've also been asking myself if teaching is a profession I want to continue all the way from now till that point of time where I feel like I can no longer do it. I think to me the issue is on the energy that I think I will have all the way from now till then, and it's very difficult for me to gauge or predict if I'm going to be in this career forever. I still love teaching, but I think it's more about managing my energy and my boundaries so that it can continue to be a sustainable career for me, because I have this propensity of like giving it all and overachieving and doing my best and etc. You know how it's like. But I also want to make sure that in order for it to be sustainable, I need to firstly manage my boundaries and my energy. And if I can't do that, then obviously it's never going to be a sustainable career option and profession for me to be in.
You need to fill up your cup first before you can fill up someone else's, right? So you need to keep topping up your tank.
And I also feel like as an educator, I need to improve and upgrade on my own professional skill sets and interests. So even things like taking a 2-year sabbatical to further my studies in an area that I'm interested in, that might also be a strategy to keep this teaching career sustainable, because after all, being a teacher is also learning new things with my students, and to upgrade myself as well as to improve myself in many ways. That is also something that I've been considering, because we all take breaks, and sometimes the breaks will help us gain better control of ourselves and what we want to do in our lives. And as much,
it helps us reflect.
Yeah.
It gives us a chance to explore new things also, because every time we teach, we feel like we are giving, and we need to put back something in ourselves in order to give more, right?
Yeah. So as much as I'm a teacher, I'm also a learner, and I want to continue learning. Can be in Singapore, can be overseas, depending on what I want to do at that point in time. So 5 years from now, honestly, I don't know what I'll be doing, but I know that teaching is something I love doing. But at the same time, I'm not sure how long I'll last in this profession, simply because until I can manage my energy and know that it is sustainable for me, I will be in this for a long, long time. But for now, I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Well, at least you're honest with yourself, so that's great. If it works out, it works out. Yeah. Because there are many things in life that you could try out. Yeah. Because, when you think about it, our parents only had very few careers they could explore. But I think now in this day and age, teachers also want to be more than just teachers. We want to wear many hats and try out new different roles.
Yeah.
Even the same for me, because I have interest in other areas in my life, like options trading and even neuroscience. There's just so many things that you could possibly do, and there's so many things that you want to do before you die, kick the bucket. So definitely, teaching is amazing. It's a wonderful job. It opened up my eyes to so many people and so many things. But at the same time, there's still more to be had.
Yeah, and I'm more than a teacher. Yeah, like I think there was this one point in time when I left the service before going over to Japan, right? I felt like I lost a big part of myself when I tell people that I'm no longer a teacher.
Yes.
And I didn't know how to identify myself. I didn't know how to tell people who I was.
Because every time people call you Miss something, you always see yourself as a teacher.
Yeah.
Miss Joyce, Miss Tuting, you're always seen as that role.
Yeah.
And suddenly when that's taken away from you, or like suddenly when you drop it, it's like, now what?
Yeah.
You're naked.
Yeah.
You feel that way.
Yeah.
And we feel a bit sad at the same time, because we start to feel lost and confused about our identity. So naturally, I can agree with you and empathize.
Yeah, and a lot of my identity was tied to my job. And so that's why there was that sense of loss and emptiness. And it took me a while to ask myself like who I really am. Yeah, but now it's clearer lah, because also because now I'm back in the profession. I call myself an educator, but I also feel like I call myself a lot more than just being an educator now. Yeah, so I just thought that this is something that many of you might go through, especially when you feel like, especially when you've been in the teaching profession for years, and then there might come a point in time when you might retire, or you might even choose to career switch to another industry that you might be interested in. You might actually feel this sense of loss. So I thought this is something that might be relatable to many of you.
Yeah, if you're a teacher out there, don't fret. Please know that what you are going through is very normal, because we also face it. And I think one of the best things to do is just talk about it with your friends, with your colleagues, the people that you really can open up to, because chances are they could be feeling the same way.
Yeah. And that's why it's important for us to have such tough conversations with you.
Yes.
And see you in the next episode.
Bye.